It's about me exploring who I am and how I relate to this reality I'm in the middle of, that I exist in. I think that's the real thing. Who am I? What's it all about? You know, those questions, they've been probably the most important questions to me ever since I can remember. And I think ultimately, all of the things I do are driven by that more than anything else, even if I'm not aware of it. And I suspect that might be true with a lot more people than myself. Every person will see something slightly different or a lot different than the next. If you want me to tell you what to see, I can, and I'm egotistical enough to do it, but it's not fair. I have to allow you to come to that, because that's the really important part of it, and that's the only valid part of it, is if you come to that. It takes a lot of work. I am making you work. But if you want the really important stuff, the really important, truthful answers, if there is such a thing as truth, that's the way to get it. That's what I meant by exploring who I am, finding out what's going on, what the drivers are within me, how I work. What is this reality? I do it for myself all the time. I take a look deep inside all the time. And when somebody starts to do this, if they're not used to doing it, it's very scary and very uncomfortable. And there were many times during the past, I've been through a lot of very, very difficult emotional times in my history. And there were times when it's hard to open up, even to yourself, and look in there. But the more you do it, the more safe you feel with it, and the more comfortable you feel doing it, and you can go deeper. And as you do this more and more, you start to learn more about what your reality really is as compared to what you always thought it was. Everything about our reality is illusions. It's not, reality ain't what you think it is. And one of the things I started saying to myself and then everybody else years ago is facts don't stay. Scientific facts may not be as scientific facts as you think they are. When you get to a certain point, you begin to see this and understand it in a very real way. And you can, my father always had a way to shift his reality, literally, not just the way people think of it, but literally view reality from different places where he could see through things and just stun you with what he was able to do. He was an amazing person. If you just saw this guy, you would wonder what a wacko, what a crazy renegade. But the guy was brilliant. Yes, he was. He was a wacko, crazy maniac, but he was absolutely brilliant. Very strong person, too. And he'd been through some really incredible history in his life, really hard times in his life. But he had this ability. For some reason, he gained the ability to actually shift the reality in a way that he could see through a lot of it. And he never talked about this. I learned it from being his son and living with him for, all those years, gradually beginning to understand what was going on. And I've seen him do stuff that you would consider absolutely not possible. And he just did it. What's the problem? What's the question? That kind of thing. That's what I mean by shifting your reality. One of the things I do with very, very serious design students is I work with them with certain kinds of exercises. In fact, one case, one kind of an exercise is looking at certain things and seeing them as something totally different than what they really are. To the point where if they practice this, they really can see them as something totally different than what they are, and it's very real. It gets beyond the illusion. These are the kinds of things these are the places you can go to if you carry this far enough. It's very unsafe and very difficult, because one of the things it requires a person to do is to remove all of the planks they have, the values and beliefs they have that we've learned through our growing up, that we have to learn just to survive. You break those planks, take them away, and you have virtually nothing holding you up as supporting your existence. And it's a terrifying place. It's absolutely terrifying. But if you can learn to trust that and be there, even for a moment, the world changes, literally changes. Things happen like you wouldn't believe. And it's not possible even to stay there for more than just little tiny moments in time. But just knowing it's there is phenomenal. And it really wakes you, it's a serious wake-up call.